So this story surprised me a little bit, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Germany's Merkel hits out at Twitter over problematic Trump ban. German Chancellor Angela Merkel finds Twitter's decision to ban President Donald Trump's account problematic, her spokesperson said. Twitter permanently suspended Trump's account on Friday following outcry over a riot on Capitol Hill. The move has drawn criticism from other political figures in Europe, including EU Commissioner Thierry Breton. So here's the key quote that I think is most important. The right to freedom of opinion is of fundamental importance. So, when Angela Merkel looked at what happened, her takeaway was similar to my takeaway, which was Trump is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. So did Trump create the environment wherein this attempted insurrection, this diet coup, this riot could happen? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. With his non-stop fear-mongering, stop the steal and fraudulent election and rigged election, all that's untrue. Trump is either lying or he himself is now totally brainwashed and delusional about it. But all of it is untrue. He repeated it over and over and over and riled people up, and that did help lead to what happened. But was it a direct threat of violence, and was it incitement from Trump? That, I don't think you can make a case on that. Because he didn't say fraudulent election, rigged election, and now I want you to storm the Capitol and do violence and go after our Congress people. No, he didn't say that. When it was clear that that's what was happening, he went public and spoke out of both sides of his mouth. And he was calling, peace, don't hurt our law enforcement. We love our boys in blue. We love our law enforcement. It's amazing. Let's be peaceful. But also, there's a totally fraudulent election and they can't get away with it. So again, the spirit of what he's saying is clear. It is nudging these people along. But literally what he says, if you read it out, if you quote it on paper and read it back, no, he gave himself enough wiggle room to cover his butt, especially the next day when he gave that speech, totally throwing his supporters under the bus. A lot of his supporters were pissed at him over that because he really did. And there's reporting that he then started blaming Antifa a few days later. That wasn't even my people. That was Antifa. I know that was Antifa. It had to be Antifa. My people don't act like that. So, yes, he spoke out of both sides of his mouth on the day, and then he turned on his own people. Okay? That is not the same as doing direct threats of violence or inciting violence. If Trump did directly incite violence, then yes, that's also against the law. It's not just like against Twitter terms of service or any rules regarding free speech. That's against the law. You can't do direct threats of violence. You can't incite violence. And that's correctly against the law. It's one of the few exceptions to freedom of speech. But according to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and this is exactly how I viewed it too, so this reminded me I'm not crazy, he gave himself enough wiggle room where it wasn't really what people are saying it is. Now, do I think there should be no consequences? Of course not. I think there should be consequences. I think they should invoke the 14th Amendment because Trump gave aid and comfort to people doing an insurrection or rebellion. That's like word for word what it says there. That's not okay. So you can ban him from ever holding public office again with a simple majority. That's what they should do. Do I support the internet death penalty? No, I'm more in agreement with Angela Merkel on this, where she's saying you could pretend all you want like this isn't a violation of free expression. It is. And Facebook even went a step further where they are banning everybody from using stop the steal phrase in a positive context. So if you say it as in like you're advocating it or you believe in it, they're going to ban you. You can bring it up to mock it. You can't bring it up to agree with it. That's very clearly cracking down on free expression and free speech. I get it. It's not literally a First Amendment issue because it doesn't involve the law. It involves private companies. But it is a debate about the principle of free expression and free speech. And there's no denying that. That is what it is. It's about the principle of free expression and free speech. And I think you should treat these companies like public utilities and expand protections to the new public square. So I think Angela Merkel's right. There should be consequences for Trump, but I think not only is this a slippery slope, we're already halfway down the slippery slope because we've already seen lefties banned as well with same kind of BS rationalizations. So again, careful what you wish for, and it appears like German Chancellor Angela Merkel understands American values a lot more than a lot of Americans.